It's my pleasure this morning to introduce someone I consider a great friend personally, but more importantly, to Smart Start and early childhood education, and a good friend to education overall. Our Lieutenant Governor, Walter Dalton, was a state senator for 8 years before he was elected Lieutenant Governor this past November. He distinguished himself in the General Assembly as a leader and an outspoken advocate for investment in education, particularly the investment in early childhood education. I think the most telling thing I can say about Walter is he gets it. He understands it. He believes wholeheartedly that the money that we spend on young children and families in age-appropriate development leads to bigger and better things, not only for those children and those families, but for our state and our nation. He believes that education is what keeps us strong and enables us individually to have lives that are enjoyable and worthwhile and contribute to the welfare of our economy. I'd like to say that Walter comes by this himself, but I know that his wife Lucille, who is with Walter today, is an educator herself and someone who was elected to the school board before Walter even got into politics. So I think at the Dalton household, education is a topic of great interest and great concern, but more importantly, and now in Walter's role as Lieutenant Governor of the state of North Carolina, it's an active thing. It's what you do and what you make of it that's most important, and that's what Walter's all about. He's a great friend, and I want to call him to the podium to address us. Walter?
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley, for that great introduction, and thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your friendship. It's my honor and privilege to be here today, and I appreciate the invitation. I'm glad my wife, Lucille, could be with me today. She's right up here on the front row with a great Smart Start board member, Rance Henderson. She is a leader in education. As Ashley told you, she was on our school board for 9 years. She was the first lady ever to chair our school board. And the night she was elected, someone came up to me and they said, "Senator Dalton, were you surprised that Lucille was elected to such a lofty position?" I said, "No, not at all." I said, "She's used to that. She's been Speaker of the House ever since we were married." But I will tell you, in 1998, she was also North Carolina's School Board Member of the Year, so I'm very, very proud of her and glad she could be with me today. Thank you. Lucille, stand up. Stand up. I want to thank each and every one of you for the work that you do, because the work that you do is critical. It's critical for our country to compete in the global economy. We have all heard that we've lost manufacturing. Manufacturing has gone to China. Manufacturing has gone to India. Well, you need to know it's not just manufacturing. IT is going to China and India. Your accountants are emailing your tax information to China and India, and that's where so many more tax returns are being done every year. Your radiologist is sometimes emailing your x-rays to China or India. We indeed are in a new economy. It will be a knowledge-based economy. And to compete in a knowledge-based economy, we must prepare the workforce for tomorrow. And that starts with early childhood preparation. Give yourselves a hand. That's why you are so important, and that's why I welcome you to this conference. To those of you, and I know there are many of you who are from out of state, I welcome you to North Carolina. It is a beautiful state with our Blue Ridge Mountains, the rolling hills of the Piedmont, and our wonderful coastline. We like to believe we are a progressive state, progressive because of a great university system that's affordable, accessible, and very excellent, because of some of the research that's going on in North Carolina, like Dr. Oliver Smithies, who won the Nobel Prize last year in genomics, or Dr. Tony Atala with regenerative medicine at Wake Forest University, or Jody Simone, who won MIT's award last year, who works for NC State and UNC, who in nanoscience may really be getting to the cure for cancer, a biofuels project. And David Murdoch was on Oprah the other day talking about the Kannapolis Research Center. We think we're progressive because of a great community college system that's affordable, accessible, and does great workforce development. But we also believe that we are progressive because of our commitment to early childhood education here in North Carolina. That's why I applaud the work that each and every one of you is doing in your states. It is very, very important, and I applaud you for gathering here at this conference to share best practices, to collaborate, and to network. It's a little bit like the guy who went to the older fellow. He wanted to learn wood cutting. And the older fellow said, well, let's just cut wood for a couple of hours and see who stacks up the most wood. And the older man handed him an axe. And the young man enthusiastically went at it for 2 hours, sweating, was worn out. He would look over, and the older man from time to time would be sitting down and drinking some water. At the end of the day, or at the end of the 2 hours, the older man had twice as much wood stacked as the younger man. The younger man says, I don't understand it. I worked much harder than you did. He said, well, maybe so, but he says, you know, what I did every 15 minutes, I would stop and rest, and I would sharpen my axe. Well, that's what you're doing in this conference. You're taking a breather, but not really a breather. You're networking, you're sharing with one another, and you're sharpening your axe so you can go back and do even a better job and be recommitted to the great work that you do. I would be remiss if I did not express tremendous gratitude and acknowledge those in North Carolina who have been such great leaders of Smart Start. Some of the names you will know, people like Governor Jim Hunt, who had this great vision and took it to a program that is of national prominence. People like Ashley Thrift and Clark Plexico, who have given countless hours of volunteer time to go across this state and work for Smart Start. People like Karen Ponder and Stephanie Fonjul, who have directed this program again to national prominence, and so many others in this room and beyond who have worked very, very hard. Will Rogers once said, a person makes a living by what they get, but they make a life by what they give. The people I just mentioned have stars in their crown because of what they have given. They have a wonderful life because of what they have given. But more importantly, many, many more people have a wonderful life because of what they have given and the investments they have made. They are to be commended for developing and nurturing and championing Smart Start in North Carolina, which has become a national award-winning program. Today, 65% of those children receiving child care subsidy in North Carolina are in 4- or 5-star facilities, our very best ratings. Because of what they do and because of what you do, lives are being changed for the good and thousands are being helped. When I was elected to the North Carolina Senate, for 12 years I drove those roads about 500 miles a week when we were in session. We didn't get paid very much. Somebody said, why do you do that? And somebody standing next to me says, well, he does it for the psychic income. Well, a lot of truth to that, and that's why you do what you do. It's not for the monetary reward, that's nice, but it's the psychic income, knowing you're making a difference in someone else's lives. It reminds me of the story of Karen Murphy, a public school teacher, teaches the 5th grade, but on Sundays, Karen Murphy teaches the 5-year-olds in Sunday school. She was teaching them the 23rd Psalm, and she noticed something was out of kilter. That when you got to that line, and goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord, somebody was off. So she separated the children out, and Karen Murphy realized that what little Johnny, 5-year-old, was saying was that, and good Miss Murphy will follow me all the days of my life. Well, what you do will follow these children all the days of their lives, because you're giving them that chance at a great start. What you are doing is you are giving these children the foundation for that American dream that says if you have the desire, if you have the talent, and if you have the ability, you can be anything in this America. But you cannot reach that American dream unless you have the tools to compete. I've always said it's not competition when one team walks on the field, brand new uniforms and the best coaching, and the other team walks on barefooted and they don't know the rules. But if you give everybody the equipment to compete, then everybody on the field gets better. And that's how you build strong economies. That's how you build a future. And in today's world, the tools to compete mean educational tools and a knowledge-based economy. And that means a good start in life. Education begins with early childhood preparation. If you read to a child at age 2, research shows that they will have greater language comprehension. They will have a larger vocabulary. They will have higher cognitive skills. Their reading achievement will be increased, and they will have greater enthusiasm for learning. That's why investments in early childhood are so important. That's why if you invest in early childhood, the dropout rate will go down and the graduation rate will go up. I am proud of what I was talking about in North Carolina, our community college system, our university system. But if you look, we spend $7,000 per pupil for our students in the university system, $8,500 counting state and federal money for our public school students. But yet for those receiving child care subsidy, it's $3,250 a year in state dollars. Now, the paradigm is a little off kilter there, because if we invest more early, you won't have as much remediation later on, and those students will perform better. Common sense tells us that more money in early childhood is a good investment and is needed. We can take a lesson from our farmers. They spend countless hours preparing the field and tilling the soil and plowing the field and fertilizing, a lot of preparation, because they know if they do that, the work later on will be easier and the harvest will be so much better. It is tough times, and it means that we have to work together more than ever before. It's like the little church in the valley that had lost a lot of membership, and they brought in a new, enthusiastic young preacher, and again, he built up that membership pretty well, but they said, you'll never get that mountaineer on the ridge. You'll never get him to come down here. Well, the minister took it as a challenge, so one crisp October day, he went up to the ridge and went up to the cabin of the mountaineer, knocked on the door. Mountaineer came to the door and invited him in. It was at dusk, and there was a warm fire there, crackling fire. It was a cool night. They sat there and talked, and to the minister's surprise, the mountaineer was well read. And they talked theology for a while, and he was impressed with that. But finally, the mountaineer said, "Preacher, I know why you're here." He says, "You're wanting me to come down to your church and to be with those other people and worship down there." He says, "Why should I do that?" He says, "I get up every morning and I breathe this crisp mountain air. I hear God speak in that brook every day that I get up. I hear God sing with the birds. I congregate with my God every day. Why should I come to your church?" Minister thought about it a minute, didn't say anything. He reached over and got the poker. And in that blazing fire with the coals hot underneath it, he pulled out one of the burning coals. The flame on that coal was there, but then went away. The red hot fire in that coal started to dwindle and turn black and die and turn cold. The mountaineer looked at him, said, "Preacher, I think I see what you mean. I'll be there on Sunday." You see, we all burn so much more brightly. We all give off more warmth when we work together for a good cause. That's what you do. That's what we've got to do to get through these tough times. And that's what Jim Hunt knew when he developed this program in North Carolina. That's why he made it a collaborative effort. That's why he embraced public-private partnerships with nonprofits and businesses. And businesses are going to be key. Ashley tells me Arizona is doing a great job with that. I hope every state is doing a great job with that. I have a theory. Education thinks it's a world unto itself, but I think to a great degree, education is market-driven. North Carolina for many years was a manufacturing state. During that period of time, business and industry did not talk about the dropout rate. That meant cheap labor in a textile mill or a furniture factory. Physical strength, dexterity was what was important. Today, you hear a different story. We've got to have a better product. Well, if we're going to have a better product, then business needs to step up to the plate also. They need to be partners in things like early childhood preparation. It's important not only for you, it is important for them. Smart Start is about giving children the opportunity to reach their full potential, giving them that healthy start and the ability to be ready to learn. Oliver Wendell Holmes once said, "Most of us die with the music still in us." Most of us die with the music still in us. What he was saying is, most of us die without even reaching our potential, but most of us die without trying to reach our potential. That is a huge sin. But most of that time, we don't reach that potential because of apathy or fear. The greatest sin of all will be if that child does not have the tools to reach that potential. That's what you are about. You are about letting that music out in each child, preparing them to do that battle in the future, to compete and to be the best that they can be. Some say government shouldn't be involved at such an early age. To them, I say it's far better to be involved at an early age because that means there'll be less remediation, less prison cells filled, and it means that you will be able to identify health issues and be able to address them more cheaply and more effectively as time goes on. I know this is a tough year for many of the states. Trade policies at the federal level, credit policies, have crippled our economy. People are worried and are struggling. But it means that we must do all we can, however we can, to keep this progress going. We have heard the phrase, "keep hope alive, keep hope alive." Well, if that phrase is true, and I think it is, it means keeping Smart Start alive, because Smart Start is hope. Smart Start, as I said, is the foundation for that American dream. So during this conference, I hope you will talk with one another. I hope you will share with one another. I hope you will recommit and sharpen your axe and go home ready to attack the challenge that lies ahead, ready to make Smart Start better than ever before, ready to make the future brighter for thousands of children across this nation, and by doing so, you'll be making the future brighter for each and every one of us. Thank you for gathering here today. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you.